This video that I put together today, it's all about missing men. The reason I'm focusing on this today is because when I was doing some research on a story back at Christmas, I came upon this story about a young man who had walked out of a bar and disappeared and was never seen again. And they brought in people to search for him, of course, like they do. And then this woman, I guess it was like a psychiatrist, psychologist, started talking about how men are more vulnerable during the winter months. And it goes into a lot of detail, and I saved the article, and I'm going to talk about that later in another video. But I just put together a few cases right now to lead into this. Missing person Casey Allen Collins, 39, of Fort Gay, West Virginia. Casey went missing on January the 2nd, 2017. He was 5'8" and weighed 200 pounds. He had a tattoo on his upper right shoulder that says CC, and also the same letter CC on one of his fingers. He has a cross on his left forearm that goes from his wrist to his elbow. He has a tattoo of a poem on his upper right chest and several other tattoos. Witnesses have told the police that Casey was last seen getting into a white Chevy S10 two-door pickup truck and has never been seen or heard from again. The police have not released much information on him. I'm not sure why, but the family has searched for help. Casey has also had some trouble in the past and was known to use substances. No one is sure at the time if he was using or not. Casey was known to travel between West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky, and possibly even Tennessee. This is from WSAZ, which is a news station out of West Virginia. This was published April the 9th, 2017. West Virginia state troopers are asking for the public's help in finding a man who has been missing. Troopers in Wayne County said Casey Collins, 38, of Fort Gay, West Virginia, was last seen on January the 2nd. And if anyone has any information, you can contact the Wayne County State Police Dispatch at 304-272-5131. Now, that's the West Virginia Police. Law enforcement officials on the other side of the river are asking questions of a perplexing nature after a family came forward to report this man missing a few days after they last saw him. After the man's family stated to officers that they had not seen or heard from him, they're saying that the mother says that he told her he would be back to get some clothes, but he never returned. Now they're saying that the family told the police that they had not seen or spoken to him in about 3 months before they reported him missing. So I don't know which one was true. The family has this feeling that he was headed to Tennessee or may have been spending some more time down towards Tennessee. Troopers say that they found a body of a male. Troopers said there were 2 tattoos that could help identify the man. One is a tribal tattoo on his upper right arm, and the other is a quote on his rib cage that reads, "Dying Breed." This man's body was found at the Greenbrier Rocky Bottom campground. They thought at first that this could be him, but I don't think that it is. Now, what they say here is that he was known to have been partying with some friends. Now, this was January 2nd, so I'm assuming that maybe they're saying that it was the New Year's holiday, the New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and that maybe they had spent New Year's Day with him, and then after that, no one saw him again. At 38 years old, he would be 45 today. He was 5'8" tall and weighed around 200 pounds. He's a white male. His last known whereabouts were in Louisa, Kentucky, which is, pretty close to Fort Gay, West Virginia. Last date known was January 2nd, 2017. Now, this case is Richard Allen Garrett from Greenup County, Kentucky. He was last seen March the 31st, 2006. He went by several nicknames. One was Dreads, one was Winky. He was a black male, 5'10" tall, and around 150 pounds. His last known date of contact was March the 31st, 2006. And he was last known to be seen walking on Winfred Street in Greenup County. He had black shoulder-length hair and wore a goatee. He had brown eyes. He had a 3-inch scar on his left cheek, and he had a scar on his left wrist. He had a scar under his right eye. He was last known to be wearing a blue t-shirt, blue jeans, white tennis shoes, and a gold ring wedding band. He was 48 years old, and he was last seen in Greenup County, Kentucky. Now, Greenup County is in the northeastern part of the state, close to Ashland, Kentucky. And I'm just not finding anything more on him, but I will continue to look. I'm just not finding anything else on him. I feel really bad when I start talking about a case like this and there's just little information on him because, he deserves, all of these people deserve their story to be told. They all deserve to be recognized and brought home and their family to be given some kind of closure. Roger Mosley, August the 13th, 1991. Roger Mosley left his home in Rock House community of Leslie County, Kentucky on a 3-wheeler, which was later found over an embankment. Mosley was never heard from again. This was August of 1991. He was 33 at the time. He was a white male, 6'1", 150-ish pounds, with red hair. Roger Keith Mosley on the Charlie Project. He is considered endangered, missing. He would be 66 years old today. He was last known to be wearing a green camouflage jacket, pants, hat, and shoes. He has an upper denture, and that's really the only feature that they list. So his 4-wheeler or his 3-wheeler was found over an embankment, but he was never found. Roger Sasko, 51, was last seen at his residence near Kentucky 904 in Gatliff, Kentucky, on November the 6th, 2003. His wife said she went out for a while, and when she came home, he wasn't there. He actually wasn't even reported missing for 3 months. His family claims that there were periods of time in Roger's whereabouts where he was unknown, and they were receiving postcards and letters from a Lexington, Kentucky postmark from him saying that he was traveling. In December of 2003, his truck was reportedly recovered off of exit 29 in North Corbin. Nothing specific was mentioned about if there was any evidence inside the vehicle. After the discovery of his truck, nothing substantial happened until March of 2007, when a lead law enforcement agency launched a new search. The search group spent 2 days in the area searching for Roger's remains. Cadaver dogs did indicate the possibility that human remains were on a spot near his property. An excavator was brought in, but unfortunately nothing was found. So at that point, they stopped receiving correspondence from Roger. As far as I know, the letters and postcards were never authenticated by the police. I can't find anything saying the police ever actually laid eyes on these articles to see if they could check the handwriting or anything like that. Most of the family believe that this was a ruse to throw off law enforcement. I do too. I did a story, one of the earlier videos that I did was on a woman from Moorhead, Kentucky who went missing. An older lady who had been in a relationship with someone secretively, would not tell her family and friends who this man was, but they had their suspicions. And at some point after she was last seen, the family received a letter that was also postmarked from Lexington saying that she was traveling and that she had, gone off on her own. And I believe that that was a letter also sent to throw the police off. Here's a little bit more on this Roger Sasko. This was dated August 2021. Williamsburg police are asking for the public's help to solve a nearly 2-decade-old case involving a missing man who was last seen in 2003. Roger Burton Sasko was last seen in the Gatliff area of Whitley County during the first week of November 2003. Roger was last seen at his home, and the truck he drove at the time was reportedly recovered off of exit 29 in North Corbin. So there was an interesting story that came up when I was doing some research about Roger Sasko. Missing person case leads to the discovery of 12 pounds of pot and $20,000 in cash. Now this story was posted September of 2012. Williamsburg police efforts to find a man who has been missing since late 2003 led officers to an alleged marijuana transaction that resulted in the discovery of $20,000 in cash and 12 pounds of processed marijuana. On September the 12th at 6:30 p.m., Williamsburg Police Detective Bobby Freeman charged Johnny Johnson, 57, and Michael Rose, 50, with first offense trafficking in marijuana over 5 pounds. Williamsburg police initially went to Rose's residence, which is located about 10 miles east of Williamsburg, in reference to a missing person investigation. Williamsburg Police Chief Wayne Bird said that officers were in that area after receiving new information about a missing person case involving Roger Sasko, who was last seen in November of 2003. They were following up on a new lead when they got sidetracked and interrupted a marijuana transaction that was taking place in Rose's driveway. "We drove right up on it," the police officer said. After further investigation, police found about 5 pounds of processed marijuana inside of Johnson's van, which prompted a further search of the property and the vehicles there. Police also found a large amount of money under the driver's seat in Johnson's van and inside of his wallet. During the search, police found about 7 additional pounds of processed marijuana in another vehicle in Rose's driveway. They also found several bottles of prescription pills and a large amount of cash on Rose, and in all, police seized about $20,000 in cash, numerous pills believed to be Schedule II and Schedule III controlled substances. They also seized 2 vehicles and a 2010 Polaris Ranger. Was this man, this Roger Sasko, involved with these 2 other men or other men associated with them with this marijuana trafficking and the trade for these prescription pills and that type of thing? I don't know if there was any proof that he was. I don't know what led the police there. They said they got a tip about his disappearance, which was 9 years after he went missing. They get a tip to go out to these people's house, and then suddenly there's this marijuana bust. So some people in the comments were saying that they believe that the whole purpose to go out there was because they got a tip about the marijuana, but they needed a reason to be there, so they used the excuse that they had gotten a tip about Roger Sasko. But either way, Roger Sasko's never been found. And it just goes on to talk about how they have searched with excavators, and they brought in dogs, dogs to indicate on human remains, and one dog did indicate that there was possible presence of human remains, but after searching and digging in that area, they were unable to find anything. If you have any information about the disappearance of Roger Sasko, you can contact the Williamsburg Police Department at 606-549-6087, or you can contact the Kentucky State Police. And in these stories that I do, anytime that a missing person or any murder or unsolved case, if they don't give information about how to contact someone, if you should maybe happen to have information about them, you can always contact the state police in that state, give them some information about it, and they can direct you to which district or police department that you're searching for. And that was all I could find on Roger Sasko. As for Roger Mosley, he's still missing. None of his remains have ever been found. Now, I did come upon a story recently about human remains being found in Kentucky. So this was more recent. This happened in Jessamine County. This is dated December the 28th of 2024. Human remains are set to be taken to the Kentucky Medical Examiner's Office after being found by a pair of hikers in Jessamine County. At around 3:15 p.m. on Friday, Jessamine County Sheriff's Office was contacted that two men hiking in the Indian Falls area discovered what they thought were human remains. It was confirmed that the hikers found the skeletal remains of an adult male. Skeletal remains were identified as an adult male, and there are several ongoing missing persons cases in Kentucky that this could be, and the most recent article that I found on that story was from January the 1st of this year, 2025, and the bones had been taken to the medical examiner's office to determine who they might be and compare them maybe to some missing person cases in the area. If I find an update and if that person's identity is revealed, I will come back and do a follow-up. Thanks for watching.